Why is Donald Trump talking so much suddenly about Tylenol when he can't even pronounce acetaminophen? Two journalistic principles apply. Follow the money and follow the lawyers. I'm Adam Klasfeld, and you're watching All Rise News here on Legal AF on the Midas Touch Network. And you may remember back in the beginning of Trump's second term, when Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was being confirmed to HHS, there was a contentious exchange during questioning by Senator Liz Warren about Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s ties to law firms that sought to benefit by suing pharmaceutical companies over vaccines. She asked him then and there to commit to not making any more money off those law firms and the millions he was making at the time. He refused. Here's the clip.
I agree that you won't take any compensation from any lawsuits against drug companies while you are secretary and for 4 years afterwards.
Well, I'll certainly commit to that while I'm secretary. But I do want to clarify something because you're making me sound like a shill. I put together that case. I did the Science Day presentation to the judge on that case to get it into court.
Mr. Kennedy, it's just a really simple question. You've taken in $2.5 million. I want to know if you will commit right now that not only will you not go to work for drug companies, you won't go to work suing the drug companies and taking your rake out of that while you're a secretary and for 4 years after. It's just...
I'll commit to not taking any fees from drug companies while I'm secretary.
No, I'm asking about fees from suing drug companies. Will you agree not to do that?
You're asking me to not sue drug companies, and I'm not going to agree to that,
Senator. Drug companies as much as you want.
I'm not going to agree to not sue drug companies or anybody.
Now, Rupert Murdoch's Wall Street Journal, the editorial page sees the same conflicts of interest at play in the Tylenol hullabaloo. Here's what they wrote in the editorial page. Quote, "We'll admit we didn't see this coming. President Trump advising pregnant women against using one of the most ubiquitous over-the-counter medicines in America. That's what happened Monday when Mr. Trump joined his health advisors in linking acetaminophen, the main ingredient in Tylenol, to autism. What's going on here has less to do with healthcare than with a campaign by the plaintiff's bar." End quote. Now, if you're surprised by Rupert Murdoch's Wall Street Journal going so hard in the paint on this issue, you shouldn't be. It used to be very common for conservatives to lash out against what they called the plaintiff's bar because their view and long-held conservative view that courts made it too easy for plaintiffs to file lawsuits in hope for a big payday. That was their view of things, not the access to counsel to redress wrong through a tort. That might be a more conventional liberal view of it. But the MAGA view is even different, and it's no longer the Wall Street Journal's conservative movement. It's the MAGA movement. And there's money to be made. The Wall Street Journal writes, quote, "So why the sudden alarm about Tylenol? Complete with a presidential presser? The Osam's razor answer is the influence of RFK Jr., who's carrying water for his friends in the plaintiff's bar. A who's who of lawsuit shops are pushing the Tylenol autism link in federal court. The litigants include the Lanier law firm, Beasley Allen, Cooper Law Partners, and Keller Postman. Most have been allies of Mr. Kennedy in other mass torts, such as the weed killer Roundup and Merck's HPV vaccine," end quote. In fact, the doctor cited by the White House in their quote-unquote fact sheet against taking Tylenol was the lead expert in that litigation, Dr. Andrea Baccarelli, who was paid $150,000 for his testimony, according to the New York Times. What Trump and RFK Jr. did not say about Dr. Baccarelli is that a federal judge found as a witness that he was totally unreliable in a scathing ruling. That ruling was by U.S. District Judge Denise Cote, the same judge who banned Martin Shkreli, the pharma bro, from the pharmaceutical industry. In that ruling years ago, Judge Cote wrote, quote, Dr. Baccarelli, as recently as 2022, co-authored a study on the prenatal effects of acetaminophen that cautioned against any change to clinical practice, end quote. So let that sink in for a bit. Their lead guy that says this is a very dangerous link between acetaminophen and autism said, don't change the clinical practice as recently as 2022. But he suddenly changed his mind a little bit after that. Plaintiffs' experts, including Dr. Baccarelli, according to the opinion, quote, failed to show that their methodology in doing so is generally accepted by the scientific community. In any event, here, their analyses have not served to enlighten, but to obfuscate the weakness of the evidence on which they purport to rely and the contradictions in their research. Judge Cote wrote that Baccarelli, quote, cherry-picked and misrepresented study results and refused to acknowledge the role of genetics in ASD and ADHD. That's because these are genetic disorders. How did the medical research demonstrate this? From the ruling again, quote, there are over 29,000 siblings in one of these studies. The authors initially found a twofold increase in the risk of an ADHD diagnosis for children born to a mother with a long-term use of acetaminophen, 29 days or greater, during the pregnancy. After performing the sibling control analysis, however, that association was eliminated, end quote. Eliminated as soon as they controlled 4 siblings. Now, we know that the group that RFK Jr. founded, Children's Health Defense, has paid him 6-figure salaries, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, and opposes the use of Tylenol by pregnant women. We also know that the people who lost their lawsuit against Tylenol in the federal court level are taking their lawsuit up on appeal to the Second Circuit. That's why the Wall Street Journal editorial page wrote, quote, the lawyers are hoping that the government will breathe new life into them, conveniently timed for their appeal at the Second Circuit Court of Appeals this fall. Lead attorney Ashley Keller told Reuters last week that he planned to alert the appellate court, quote, if HHS follows through and does the right thing, end quote. Here's how they end their editorial. Quote, perhaps no one told Mr. Trump about this trial lawyer campaign, but the costs of his intervention aren't benign. He's raising public fear about a useful medicine in a way that could harm maternal and fetal health. Whatever happened to do no harm, end quote. That RFK Jr. holds fringe conspiracy views about medicine that are anti-science, that isn't news to anyone. But the legal antics playing out behind the scenes are news. Support journalism that digs deeper. To subscribe to All Rise News, visit www.allrisenews.com. That's www.allrisenews.com. We'll provide all the facts and citations. A paid subscription will give you full access and help support my work in digging deeper. Thank you for watching.
Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.